Imagine walking down a public dirt road in your own hometown, only to reach an invisible line that forces you to stop. Crossing it meant risking immediate arrest and violent retaliation from the state, all because of the family you were born into. In 1920s Kerala, the social hierarchy was strictly geographic. Authorities utilized a legal loophole. They classified the public pathways immediately surrounding major Hindu temples as restricted royal roads. This layout of the Vaikom temple complex illustrates the problem. The 4 main access roads leading to the gates were heavily restricted. If you were from a so-called lower caste, entering these glowing zones was strictly forbidden. The perimeter was marked with rigid checkpoints. Wooden warning boards like this one, called the End-all Palaka, were placed along the roads with a clear message. People of lower castes are not allowed beyond this point. The untouchability system in Travancore operated as a physical infrastructure. It was a calculated network of barriers designed to isolate oppressed communities from public life and commerce. For years, reformers tried to dismantle these barriers through polite legislative debates and written petitions. The government consistently dismissed them, claiming that opening the roads would upset the region's religious balance. But frustration was mounting. Decades earlier, a social reformer named Ayankali had driven a bullet cart down a restricted village road in open defiance. He proved that an individual could challenge the ban and survive. By early 1924, the Kerala Pradesh Congress Committee realized that single acts of defiance were no longer enough. The state's geography needed to be disrupted at scale. They organized a Satyagraha, a non-violent resistance campaign. The tactic was mechanical and precise. March directly up to the illegal boundaries, cross them peacefully, and force the local police to arrest you. Because the lawmakers refused to redraw the map of human rights on paper, the protesters decided to put their physical bodies on the line to force the change on the ground. On the morning of March 30, 1924, the protest officially launched. 3 volunteers bathed, dressed in clean clothes, and walked out of camp toward the temple roads. These 3 men were carefully selected. One was Palaya, one was Ejava, and one was Nair. By sending a mixed caste group that included a privileged Nair, the committee visually demonstrated cross-caste unity against the boundary. On this map, 3 men approached the restriction board and stopped 50 yards from the boundary line. Then they stepped forward. Police immediately arrest and jail them. The next day, more volunteers cross the line and are also arrested. This repeated, mechanical act of getting arrested turned a local road dispute into a national crisis. News spread, and soon thousands of outsiders arrived in Vaikom to support the volunteers. The authorities' rigid enforcement backfired. By constantly arresting individuals, the police effectively built a massive army against themselves, proving that jails could not contain the momentum of a mass movement. E.V. Ramasamy Naikar, widely known as Periyar, arrived from Tamil Nadu to join the strike. His fiery public speeches mobilized hundreds of local women to join the public protests, an act that resulted in his imprisonment. The coalition kept growing. A delegation of Sikh Akalis traveled all the way from Punjab to set up free food kitchens to sustain the volunteers during the standoff. But the expansion created friction. Mahatma Gandhi intervened with a controversial directive. He requested all non-Hindus, including the Akalis, withdraw support from the protest camps. Gandhi argued that this dispute was an internal reckoning for the Hindu community. He believed the only way to permanently dismantle untouchability was to change the minds of the orthodox gatekeepers, rather than simply outnumbering them with outside forces. This led to a brilliant countermove. To prove that orthodox authorities were out of touch, reformers organized the Savarna Jata. A group of 120 privileged upper caste members marched across the state in total support of opening the roads to everyone. The protest reached a turning point when it fractured the ruling class itself. By marching alongside the oppressed, these privileged volunteers stripped the orthodox gatekeepers of their moral and social authority. The stalemate demanded grueling endurance. The protest lasted exactly 603 days. During the monsoon floods of 1924, volunteers continued their daily shifts, standing neck-deep in dark, churning floodwaters to hold their positions at the boundary lines. Finally, by October 1925, the immense public pressure and daily disruptions forced the government to yield. The physical infrastructure of segregation began to fall. Authorities ordered the discriminatory warning boards to be torn out of the ground. Looking back at our map, the geography changed immediately. The government officially opened the western, southern, and northern roads around the temple complex to people of all castes and religions. To preserve a small buffer zone on the eastern side, the government constructed a new gate. But the ultimate victory was clear. A single, unified road now completely encircled the temple, and it was accessible to every human being. This is the Vaikom Temple complex today, an open, shared public space born directly from that 603-day standoff. While it would take another 11 years for marginalized castes to win the right to enter the temples themselves, the Vaikom Satyagraha accomplished its exact mission. It proved that organized, nonviolent spatial disruption could successfully shatter centuries of untouchability in public spaces. By putting their bodies on the line, a coalition of citizens forced the state to permanently redraw the democratic map of modern India.